What's up, everyone? Chris from Pickdawgz.com, and I got a free pick for you from this Georgia versus Clemson college basketball matchup on Sunday, November 23rd, 2025. Before I get to the free pick, if you're looking for my best bets, the games I love the most, the ones I have the most money on every single day, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium, or click the link in the description. We have so much free content that you know these plays in the premium side are our best of the best. That's what Pickdawgz Premium is for. We've also got our Inner Circle. It's something we've been mentioning in our videos lately. It's not for everyone. It's for those who are placing larger bets of at least $1,000 or more per game, and that's the requirement to be accepted into the service. But we've had a lot of big bettors and high rollers join the club already, having a ton of success already with the one-on-one coaching and management and the early releases. So if this sounds like something that's for you, reach out to the number on the screen and we will get you some more information. But let's get to this one between Georgia and Clemson as part of the Charleston Classic on Sunday. And you had Clemson coming into this one off of their win over West Virginia 70-67, while Georgia escaped Xavier 78-77 in a game where they needed a late go-ahead bucket to put away the Musketeers. A game that Georgia, was leading for much of the way, but Xavier stormed back and, eventually took the lead. But again, it was not to be for the Musketeers as Georgia pulled one out to improve to 6-0 on the year. But I will say with Georgia, I do have my concerns about this Bulldogs team. We saw last year Georgia was able to dominate through a fairly simple non-conference portion of their schedule, and that included a win over Georgia Tech. But when the rubber met the road and when things started to get tough for Georgia is when the losses started to come. They lost on neutral floor to Marquette, and then they did beat St. John's, but it still got to be tough for Georgia. And then when they got into conference play and the rigors of the SEC, they dropped 10 of their first 14 games. So we'll have to see how that bodes for Georgia long term. Clemson, on the other hand, this is a team that's been battle tested. They've been able to hold their own on neutral floors for the better part of the last couple seasons. I mean, last year they beat San Francisco and Penn State on a neutral floor. They did have a true road loss to Boise State, South Carolina, and Memphis. They fell at home in overtime, but for the most part, this is a Clemson team that's able to go toe-to-toe with a lot of teams out there. They're very experienced, and they brought back a lot of continuity from last year. This is the 8th most experienced team in the country is Clemson, and I think that experience is going to bode well for them in this game. I think that this is still a Clemson team that can take care of the basketball. They don't necessarily force a ton of turnovers on the defensive end, but that's going to be key here because Georgia's defense has been, hawking out there, and they're top 5 in turnover percentage on defense. So if you're playing Georgia, you got to be able to protect the rock, but thankfully Clemson can. And Clemson's just a much better rebounding team in this matchup. Both these teams can hit the offensive glass, but Clemson is much better in terms of defensive rejabing. They also do a good job of defending in the open floor. And this is a Georgia team that is 77th in the country in three-point shot rate. They're jacking up some threes, but they're hitting them below 26% this season. So those shots aren't falling. Clemson's a good perimeter defense. I think scoring is going to be hard to come by for Georgia in this game. The other key for Georgia here is they got to get to the foul line, and you have a Clemson team that is 123rd, so just outside the top 100 in free throw rate allowed. They're doing a good job in not allowing teams to get to the foul line, and I think that's going to prove to be problematic for Georgia here. I think that Clemson is the better team. I think this is a spot where Georgia's youth and turnover from past rosters is going to kind of rear its ugly head here. This is a Clemson team that's balanced. It can hurt you in a bunch of different ways. And I think that with the spread being so short, you can take Clemson on the money line if you want. I'm going to lay the 2.5 points here. I just think that Clemson is the better team, and I'm going to pay to find out if Georgia can hold their own here and sort of shake off that narrative from last year. They couldn't really hold up in big games. So give me Clemson here, laying the 2.5, and that's going to be my free pick. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. That is my free pick for this game. But let me know who you guys like in this game in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can head to Pickdawgz Premium and use the promo code PICK, P-I-C-K, at checkout and get 15% off your purchase. Good luck. We'll see you guys soon.